This is From Cincinnati. Join in as we chat with people who have Cincinnati chili in their DNA, whether they live here now, grew up here, or made the Queen City their hometown, as they share their stories and the remarkable ways they are impacting the world. Everybody has a story, but not everyone is from Cincinnati.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of From Cincinnati. I'd like to thank my good friend Joey Lichtenstein from JoeyVoices.com out in Burbank, California. She recorded the new intro for us, and she's awesome. Check her out at JoeyVoices.com. Also, I want to mention, too, it's been great getting all the responses and feedback I have so far on the shows. I really appreciate it. I've got way more downloads than I expected early on, so I really do appreciate that. And thanks for listening. On the show this week is Michael Flannery, and his name might ring a bell. Many knew him originally. He was a stand-up comic in Cincinnati. Then he was named Funniest Person in Ohio by Showtime. We'll talk a little bit about that on the show. And that led to a career as a road comic, where he had all sorts of fun adventures and met a lot of people that he'll talk about on the show today. Then he had the next phase, which was the red rim glasses, wearing host of the afternoon cartoons on Channel 19, starting in 1990s. Maybe you were one of those card-carrying members of Club 19 if you're of a certain age or so. After that, he was at Channel 9, and which surprised me, he was working the news side in the beginning, and then later on, his real calling came with the 9 on Your Kids side features, which a lot of people remember him for too, and he'll talk a lot about that. It's a pretty amazing story how that came about and the impact he really made in a lot of people's lives here in Cincinnati. Be sure to visit FromCincinnati.com, like our page on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter at From Cincinnati, and we're also on Instagram. Be sure to hit also that subscribe button, please, and leave us a rating so others can find the show. It helps us tremendously. I do appreciate that. Special thanks, too, to Jake Speed and the Freddies for allowing us to use some of their music in today's show. Check them out. Jake Speed and the Freddies are a local band, and they are fantastic. There's a lot we get to in this talk, and I have to say ahead of time, please excuse some of the rough edits. You may be able to tell that I edited some of the parts of the show here. He and I actually met, and we chatted for almost 5 hours, believe it or not, and I inadvertently recorded almost 3 hours of it, which is way more than we need for a show here, but he has such an amazing story, and we got into telling a lot of kind of side stories as well, too. So I cut a lot of that out, and hopefully kept this to the most interesting parts. Also, the background noise was at Bacall's in College Hill. That's where we recorded, sitting in the front window on a Friday night. So thanks, everyone at Bacall's, for putting up with us sitting at that table there in the front, and we really appreciate that. It's kind of neat that evening here because he grew up right down the street from Bacall's. It wasn't called Bacall's when he was a kid, but that was his old neighborhood. And some people from the neighborhood came over to say hi to him and who remembered him from way back. So that was pretty cool as well, too. And you enjoy my conversation with Mr. Michael Flannery.
If you caught on fire, then I'd put you out with a bucket of water. And if you slipped in mud, then I'd let you borrow a towel or something. And if your back was sore, of course I'd surely give you a doctor's phone number. And if you grew horns, I'd ignore them, but never ignore you.
So we're here at Bacall's in College Hill. Been around forever. Was this here when you were a kid, growing up in College Hill?
It was. I think this was called Mardi Gras.
Oh, really?
For a while.
Okay.
But it was one of those grown-up bars I never went into. My parents...
It wasn't the family establishment that it is today.
No, it wasn't La Rosa's, so we didn't go into it.
Okay.
La Rosa's... Where did we go as kids?
Did you go to La Rosa's down the street here?
No, we didn't go to La Rosa's down the street. My dad... I remember we'd go out to dinner a lot. And my dad worked for Formica.
Oh, really?
Whenever restaurant we'd go into, we'd look at the tables, and he'd at the Formica tabletop, and he'd go, "Oh, that's CSA 34. That's a good seller."
Oh, really?
I was born in Chicago.
Okay.
We got transferred to Wisconsin, and then back to Chicago, and then here.
Gotcha.
So it's
like how many kids?
7 children in our family.
7 children. So big Irish Catholic family,
which is kind of repetitive.
Right.
Big Irish Catholic family. Yeah.
Right. And then your mom, she passed away a few years ago.
Patricia, she did. She did. Thanks for bringing that up. You were real nice. You were real kind.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, no, I mean, it seemed like I thought you meant you seemed like you were very fond of your mother.
We have a very close family. I'm very appreciative of that. I mean, my brothers and sisters all talk.
Yeah, that's good.
to each other. I talked to every one of them.
Was your mom from here then, or was she from up there too?
She was from Chicago too.
She's from Chicago as well.
I remember seeing my dad loved comedy and big band music.
Okay.
And he had several comedian albums. And on one of them, I flipped it over when we were listening to it, and it had a picture of the guy holding a microphone in a nightclub, doing his show.
Yeah.
And until then, I didn't figure out, because it was just a record player, somebody talking, and people laughing, and we had all kinds of records, and that's what this one is. But then I realized, Dad, this is a really cool job.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, that would be a really cool job. So that's what I always wanted to do, but figured I wasn't poor, because all the comics on TV said that they, grew up poor. They're Jewish, Buddy Hackett.
Yeah, right.
I'm a Catholic guy in the Midwest, so I don't have a chance until the comedy boom. But I went to St. Clair grade school.
Okay. Yeah, was that a big? You always planned to go to college? Was it
always?
Did your mom and dad go to college?
Yes,
they
my
did.
dad went to Notre Dame.
Oh wow! Okay.
My mom went to St. Mary's, and
did your mom work outside of the home? I don't think I asked you that.
No, she volunteered quite a lot.
Okay, what was her degree in?
I don't remember, but I remember while she was in college in New York, she would go down and teach English in Spanish Harlem.
Okay. Interesting, because that wasn't very common for women to be, like, I'm thinking if you're born in 1958 and your mom you're in the middle, so she was having children in the early 50s.
Right,
50s
and
common,
60s.
Yeah, 50s and 60s, which there was a news story recently where somebody pulled a gun on somebody just in the past couple of days who said, you're not, supposed to be in my neighborhood. And I thought, oh, geez, that just breaks my heart a little bit, because I always thought, that's the thing about Cincinnati. We may not be perfect. We may not be tiny. We're huge, but we're all together. We're all together somehow in some way.
My kids growing up in Westwood, when we ask them about their friends, and this was from a young age, we go, well, who's Jamie? You know Jamie, the guy in the red shirt. Tell me what he looks like. He's got brown hair. He's tall, and his skin color would never come up.
Yeah.
We'd have to, ask him, is his skin light or dark, to try to figure out which kid it was that they had left their books.
But that wasn't why
car.
You were asking.
No, we were asking because we needed to find out where their books were.
Right.
They left them in Jamie's car.
Right.
But that was oblivious to them.
Right.
And that's what I like about Cincinnati.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a nice feature. So you go to Xavier, and then what do you study there? Do you get a bachelor's degree at Xavier?
I did not. I was on track for a bachelor's degree. First, I wanted to take a lot of computer classes and a lot of television classes. So that's what I signed up for.
Okay.
Because I could see that's where television was going.
Computers and
television.
Okay.
And audio and computers.
Okay.
And I knew that's where it was going. And then finally my counselor looked at what I was taking and goes, you're never going to graduate. You can't take, what are you taking computers and television for? Yeah. Well, because now it's called informatics.
Oh, yeah. Right. You're ahead of your time.
It's a big degree. I was way ahead of my time. And then I found out
back in the late 70s, right?
Yeah. Associate's degree is just a bachelor's degree without the math and English and history.
Yeah, right.
So I went, oh, yeah.
Just take that.
I know that, and I'll know, and I can get to work, because that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
I've been working since I was 8. I wanted to get back to work.
Working since, what you're doing since you're 8?
At 8 years old, I got a job selling newspapers on the corner. This is funny. On the corner of Cedar and Hamilton Avenue, right
just
down
the street from here. Okay,
from where we are.
Yeah,
selling the Post and Time Star. It was 15 cents. I got 3 cents for every paper.
Wow!
So I couldn't have any money in my pocket.
So let me see. You started doing stand-up comedy. You graduate from Xavier. You're not doing stand-up comedy while you're at Xavier. So there was a comedy club at Union Terminal in the mall called Giggles. And do you know anything about it?
I do. That was the first comedy chain. And you figure
the chain.
Yeah.
Oh.
You figure the guy who started Funny Bone is on a boat right now. He's done. Yeah. He's retired.
Right.
He did very, 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 very well.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh, it is. Okay. You know him probably.
I met him.
Yeah. Okay.
This is before the Funny Bones.
Okay.
And this, several people had it, and they were going to start a chain. And I worked for Cube cable
Oh, yeah.
as a cameraman.
The Time Warner cable.
Time
right?
Warner cable when they first started.
Yeah, and they called it Cube.
Cube, because it was interactive.
Yeah.
And
That's why they called it Cube, because it was interactive?
the Cube was the interactive part.
Okay. I remember because it had the remote control with the 3 rows of channels with the white buttons on the side and the black buttons on the bottom.
And
Or no. Well, something. Oh, you punched in the row and then you did either A or B.
It was a row or column, and you punched the column and the row number.
And there were 5 buttons on the side that were red.
Right.
And you could punch them in. And then there was a show I think I remember
several that you could answer multiple choice questions at
Bob
home.
Meyer hosted some of those. Do you remember Bob Meyer? He
Yeah.
just passed away recently.
Aw.
Yeah, not too long. And I didn't
He
know
did a
him,
game
but
show.
he did a game show on there. And you
Right.
could, and I remember.
Screen Test. It was all about movie trivia.
Okay.
And before him, it was a clown from Columbus who was huge.
Oh.
Flippo.
Flippo the Clown from Columbus.
Yes. And then Bob took over. And I remember
he had to follow that.
Yeah, he had to follow the
The
clown.
straight-laced weatherman with the
Yes. Straight hair.
it's very straight hair. We'll just say it was very straight hair.
And one day, his family won the show because you play at home, and whichever household answers the most questions.
Bob Meyer's family won?
Yes, and he goes, "Hey, and we have the Myers family on Deerfield or whatever avenue."
He lived in Mount Washington because I think he lived next to my grandparents. Or near somehow. My grandpa always talked about how he knew Bob Meyer. I didn't know him, but my grandpa was very proud of the fact that he knew Bob Meyer.
There you go.
So,
There you
like
go.
how I say I'm very proud that I know Michael Flannery.
I throw your name around just to get a good table.
That's right.
You know,
Exactly.
parking. It works. And he said, we should check that one because I think that's my family and they should have been taken out of the running.
Wait, they won while he was hosting?
His wife and kids won.
Oh, really?
One of the nights.
Did
So
they
they get-
cheat or something? Or did it was
No,
just,
they just won.
They were just watching Dad.
Yeah. And
Okay.
they were supposed to be removed from the mix. But they weren't.
Oops.
And he fessed up, and so they gave it to the second place person.
That's where they say, and then that's where the advent of the no employees or family members of
Exactly.
such and such broadcasting can win or protect. Yeah,
By Major League
they call that the
Baseball.
Meyer rule, right?
Actually, it is. That's not many people know that. It's amazing.
That's true. So then,
I was a cameraman for them,
okay,
and one of the guys set up a show at Giggles that we were going to cover.
Okay.
And it was a comedy contest.
oh, you're going to
Local.
broadcast it on the
Yeah.
public access or
Right. And
whatever.
the winner
version.
was chosen by the audience and the people at home.
Okay.
It's like open mic kind of thing. And so I'm running camera,
Mm-hmm.
and I always told the producer of the show, who was a comic, that I always wanted to do it, but I just didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a joke, he introduced me. He goes, our next comic works at Warner Cable. He's running that camera. Put your hands together for Michael Flannery. So as a joke, I went, oh, all right. And I locked down my camera on a wide shot, and I jumped down and I went up on stage and I told jokes, but put like my family in it. Like 2 guys going to a bar. My dad and my uncle went into this bar.
Yeah.
And that was and a couple things that I wanted to always try. And I won the dang contest.
Oh, really? The cameraman won.
The cameraman won, and I got to open for not Freddie Prinz. It was the Hispanic guy after Freddie Prinz. I can't remember his name now.
Huh. That's okay.
And I got to open for him. The winner got to work there for a week, and I was hooked. And I worked at a nightclub, Maggie's Opera House.
Yeah, I read about that too. What is that? What was Maggie's Opera House?
Maggie's Opera
Would people
House-
know that? I mean,
Yes.
Okay.
St. Bernard. Then
Yeah.
if you don't think so, you can cut it out. Nobody knows.
Right. That's right. Nobody will know.
There's a strip mall in St. Bernard, and the Christian brothers, who were the Schildmeyers, they were 3 brothers who sang in a band that played Vegas a lot and traveled around the country, and actually recorded some albums with the producer from Supertramp.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they owned this nightclub, and the plan of the nightclub was you have a nice fancy dinner, like Vegas, you see a show, and they had a showroom, they had a nice restaurant.
And it was in St. Bernard?
It's still there.
What is it?
It is Crosley's Bar.
Yeah.
It was Crosley's Bar then.
My first apartment was in St. Bernard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the half that was a bank,
Yeah.
that is a bank, was the restaurant. And the skyline was
Yeah.
the showroom.
Yeah. Okay.
And so you go to dinner, you see a show, you have a nightcap.
Okay.
And I worked the lights and sound at that place when I was at college. So I saw Pete Barbuti, who's a comic who plays trumpet, who's on the Tonight Show all the time, was on the Tonight Show all the time. But like the Diamonds would come in, the Vogues, Maynard Ferguson, Stan Kenton, all these, Frank Sinatra Jr.
Okay.
All these Vegas-y acts. Yeah, all these Vegas-y kind of acts.
Okay.
Would come in. So I got to watch.
Is it like a Beverly Hills kind of place? Okay.
Yes, the same.
That's
Beverly
obviously
Hills
a little bit more
Jr.
famous because of the tragedy there, but yeah.
Right. And I was working the night of that.
So like John Davidson, would he come to your?
Not now, because Beverly Hills is gone.
No, but that would be.
It wouldn't be that quite that.
So it's kind of like B, C list kind of folks. People that weren't going to go to the Coliseum and sell it out.
Right.
But maybe could draw in.
Could do a week at a 400-seat place.
Yeah, 400-seat kind of place. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it was owned by entertainers, great guys, Schildmeyers.
Local guys?
Mm-hmm. So St. Bernard.
Funeral? Schildmeyers or no?
I don't
there's in Loveland. There's a Schildmeyer, Tough Schildmeyer.
Right.
But not that's sorry because I'm thinking of the funeral home, which is now the brewery. In St. Bernard, the Wiedemann Brewery used to be a funeral home.
Yes, it did. I don't remember the name of it.
I don't either, but I remember it was when I lived there. It was a funeral home.
I was on stage once performing at the Wiedemann Brewery that used to be a funeral home, and the chair on stage slid the length of the stage.
Oh, like the one that is currently the brewery?
Slid the length of the stage, stopped and turned and looked at me. I made that up.
You made that up.
Just
I
right
believed
now.
it. Why?
Yeah.
We're a factual podcast here.
Okay, that's why I confess, because usually people would go, really? And I'd go, no.
No, but I'm saying because I would call John Newberry and get that confirmed.
Exactly.
Right?
He's a great guy.
He is a great guy. Another former journalist.
That's right.
Yeah, we worked together a couple. Well, one place, but he's a good guy. So you do this in 1980, and then you start the Giggles thing is 1980,
right? And then
you're hooked.
I'm hooked. I'm doing it at night.
You quit your job?
Not right away. I would be working, doing the open mic nights and stuff at night.
All around Cincinnati. And there were a lot but people don't know, and I know this from how we met when I did an article about trying to become a stand-up comic. Mm-hmm. Did a class and did some stand-up comedy around Cincinnati, is that 1980s was sort of, man, it was like the prime, the golden age of stand-up comedy.
The boom, they called it.
The boom, yeah, because it was... I think when we talked about this, going back to this article that I wrote that you were quoted in, it was the dawn of cable TV, and then all of a sudden a lot of stand-up comics like Richard Pryor and George Carlin would get these specials on Showtime or HBO or something.
Right.
These premium services, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, I can do that, and then they wanted to do it, and some people couldn't.
People wanted to go see it.
Yeah,
and then there'd be 100 channels, and if you think back to that time. Mm-hmm. If you were up late at night flipping through, how many of those channels had a guy with a microphone and a brick wall behind him?
Seemed like a lot. I mean, I was a kid. I was pretty young, but we would sneak and watch some stuff we weren't supposed to watch. And
content is always king.
Yeah.
And here you go. You can get this guy up here who's already put his show together. Mm-hmm. He's got the content, and he'll spit it out because he wants to be on cable. And the big guys who would get to the Tonight Show, it always seemed for a while it was Tonight Show sitcom.
Right.
And that's because when you're a stand-up comic, you have a character. Mm-hmm. And you see things from a certain point of view throughout the whole show. So like Robin Williams was this bouncing off the wall character. Tim Allen, macho man kind of character. And so Robin Williams got a bouncing off the ball sitcom. Tim Allen got the sitcom. Right. Jerry Seinfeld never got a sitcom. Because he was a comedian. He didn't have a strong character.
So he had a show about nothing.
Exactly, where he was he was a comedian.
So in the 80s, in this golden age, were you around a lot of these folks that are become household names like Seinfeld, like Ellen DeGeneres, like
You've been reading.
I've been reading. I did a little background.
I worked with Jerry Seinfeld.
You opened for him?
I opened for him. It was funny at the end of the week.
Did you know him, or did they?
Yes. Oh, yeah. He was the biggest comic.
Do you like his show? Do you watch his comedians in cars? I love it.
Oh, that show. That's great.
It's fantastic. I love his interview style. He's like proud of what he's accomplished, and he's not embarrassed about it. He's not ashamed. He's humble, but he's not. He's a little humble. But he's not.
Yeah. It's like, hey, this is what it is.
It's what it is. Yeah.
Chris Rock had a great line on that. He was talking about it, and he goes, I came from the projects.
Yeah.
I busted my butt.
Yeah.
I came all the way. I live in Beverly Hills. As a comic, I got to Beverly Hills. My neighbor is a dentist.
In Beverly Hills. Yeah. Right.
Goes, so what the hell? I could have been a dentist and owned the same house.
Yeah, right. It's interesting. So you knew some of these people coming up.
Oh, I worked with Jay Leno, Robin Williams, Pat Paulson.
Were these people... Pat Paulson, I don't know Pat Paulson.
Okay, you're a kid.
Okay.
Go ahead,
Somebody will
keep
know.
going. Yeah.
I'm a kid. Okay, that's right. I'm actually 14.
Right.
No.
Okay, I'm old. Pat Paulson, Groucho Marx.
Oh, I know that
I worked
guy.
with all of them.
You work with Groucho
No.
Marx? No, you're not that old. Come on, I should have known that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. You were trying to, yeah.
But I worked with these guys, Jerry Seinfeld, at the end of the week, the comics.
Did you know him, or did he just
We worked together you'd work together for a week, like Wednesday through Saturday. Mm-hmm. And you'd either share an apartment.
Oh, right. Okay.
Or you'd be in the same hotel, or something like Jerry would be in a nice hotel, and you'd be get the apartment.
Was
by
he already
yourself.
kind of getting popular by that point?
Yeah, he was huge.
Oh,
he was
in the 80s he was?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
He was
I guess
huge
the show started
as the comic on the road.
Oh, really? Because I guess his show did start kind of in the late 80s, didn't it? I always think it's the 90s show, but it really did start in the 80s, I think, didn't it?
So we worked in Charlotte, North Carolina, and at the end of the week, you get paid. So on Saturday or Sunday, after the show's over, the comics are hanging out and waiting to be called in the office. And they'd hand you a check for what you agreed to, and you'd sign the back of it, and they'd give you an envelope full of the money.
Oh, okay.
Because you're traveling to the next club.
Oh, right. You don't want to take a check. You want to take cash, right? Okay.
So that was the process. That was what was done. So I have a car, so I'm driving Jerry to the club and back. We went and saw the movie with Tom Hanks and the dog.
Turner and Hooch?
Turner and Hooch.
Okay.
I saw that movie with Jerry Seinfeld. I'd go on camera at Channel 9 to do in the studio, the live intros and outros of your story.
Right.
And the camera guy, Troy, loved Troy. I'd get up there and I'd put the mic on and I'd be making sure my suit's together. And he'd kind of just look at me. He'd lean over from behind the camera and look at me and just shake his head real slow.
Why?
Because he knew it was a kid show host.
Oh.
But they're letting live on the news. And he'd just shake his head and I go, I know. It's a scam. And sooner or later, they're going to figure it out. They're going to go, we're putting who live? And I'm gone. But until then, just keep me in focus.
No, come on. You're selling yourself short. You
it was fun.
Amazing. Did some pretty amazing stuff. So I don't know if we got out of giggles. I think we
were talking about Jerry Seinfeld and getting paid.
Yeah, and so getting paid with Jerry. So
with Jerry on the Sunday night.
So Jerry, he would know if you were like, "Hey, Jerry," he would be like,
I don't know. He mentioned me in a book.
Did he really?
He did, not by name.
Okay.
We were at lunch and we were talking about being a comic and doing this and that, and I had said that the one thing I miss is I would really like to have a dog. You know?
Yeah.
And you can't.
You can't.
Unless it's part of your act.
Right.
You can't have a dog.
Right.
And in one of his books, he said that he was talking to a comic, and the comic said, I really want a dog. And he goes, oh, sorry. And in the book, he goes, sorry, thought you wanted to be a comic. Like, oh, okay, ouch.
Ouch a little bit, yeah.
Thanks, Jer, for mentioning me.
That's kind of like, that is his style.
Because he's a comics comic.
And he's so focused on it.
It's funny how the different people, how they did it. Jerry would sit down and write for hours at a time.
Oh, really?
And there are other people who would get up and talk about their day. And I was with them, and it wasn't funny. But when they talked about it, it was hilarious.
Oh, really?
So it's very strange, the two different ways.
And it seemed like he's almost, not to make this about him, but he's almost offended by. So, Jerry Seinfeld, which we're not making this podcast about Jerry, but Jerry.
We've been trying to get past this subject to get on to the next one, and we just can't.
He takes it very seriously. But so you do this, you become the funniest man in Ohio, as awarded by Showtime
Television.
Wow.
Which helped a lot. It got me a lot more gigs. And one of the gigs I got was.
How did they decide?
the producers in New York.
Okay.
Just
Saw
made
you.
the decision.
They saw you wear
You
it.
asked me about this. They loved the bit, Mr. Stiffy.
Oh, okay. We kind of said we weren't going to really
Talk about it. It was a bit that I did that was, I'm known
slightly
pretty much
profane.
as a clean comic now.
Yeah. You didn't start that way, though.
I did not.
Uh-huh.
And one of my bits was titled Mr. Stiffy. And that's
You'll have to Google
all
it or
I
something?
can tell
That's
you.
about all you can say, right?
Is that was the name of it. And I shouldn't have to tell you any more than that.
Yeah. You just use your imagination.
Yeah. Yeah, what you think a good Catholic boy would
Right.
name that.
So they like that. And then you did some stuff with the Red Dog Saloon in Sharonville?
If you remember Kevin Orr.
I don't know. So who's Kevin? Was he a big
Kevin
deal?
Orr was great.
Is he still around?
No.
No.
He passed away. The Red Dog Saloon, do you know where that is? It's
it
on
still
the
there?
strip on Sharon
No.
Road. It looks like an old western town. I think it's torn down now.
Okay. The Red Dog Saloon is torn down? Okay.
It might be, but it used to look like a west. There was the sidewalk went up and it was wooden.
Oh,
and there were
okay.
several stores. It was part of the Marriott
I drive through there
and
from
the
time to time.
Windjammer and all that.
Oh, okay.
So this, if you know who Woody Woodbury is, you'll know who Kevin Orr was, but Kevin Orr was dirty.
Okay.
So this was a big hotel, and this was one of the hotel bars.
Mm-hmm.
And they had this comic in there, Kevin Orr, who was great, who worked in the same place every night of the week for years, for
Oh, really?
decades. And he would,
People come to see him.
people would book conventions
To see
him.
Really?
And he was so smart. Every time his contract was up, he'd be sick for a couple of weeks
Oh,
because they would review how much money was made
Oh.
at each of the parts of
it
the
was easy
business.
to tell.
And
He
it was
was-
like, hey, the Red Dog Saloon is down by 30%. Why is that? Well, Kevin's been sick. And he'd come in the next
is
week.
smart.
Yeah. He drove a Porsche.
Because this is a business.
It
This
is.
whole thing. It's about, if there's anybody who's listening to be a stand-up comic, one thing that I've learned from, I love to listen to Mark Maron. I don't know if you know his
Yep.
podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The one thing is about this is it's fun to do. And if you never get past the fun part, you will never probably be successful, because you have to realize this is a business.
Show business.
Yeah, that's fascinating to me. So he knew if I was sick, quoting, and I'm doing air quotes here, people can't see that because
Yeah.
we're on the
Because nobody's listening.
nobody's listening. So they would, I hope somebody's listening later.
That's so nice of us to point out. I feel much better. Yes, I would like another. Thanks.
Yes, that's right. No one's listening, and we're in a restaurant talking to people, and people just kind of coming up.
How
What are they-
pitiful. How
what-
pitiful. All right, folks, we're at a restaurant in a booth with headphones on, holding microphones, talking to each
Talking in
other.
place, taking up some poor server's table, who's like, "What are you going to order any food?" So, but Kevin Orr got it. It was a business. He
It was.
understood. He took the time and did that.
And he mentored me. He let me come up and have stage time in his club where he was the only performer.
Right. And how
he
did he
helped me
find?
quite.
Was that after the Funniest Man of
Yes.
Ohio? Oh, okay.
Funniest man in Ohio. And I met Bob Shreve there. Bob came by and knew Kevin.
There's a Cincinnati guy.
Yeah.
He was he a
so
comic too, Shreve, or was he?
I found out Shreve was hired as a tenor,
No, really.
as a serious singer.
Huh.
And because of what was needed in television, or I don't know how, ended up being a hillbilly comic.
Yeah. Oh, really? Huh.
And that's how he got the
Didn't
show.
he do Watson commercials too one time?
He did. He did the Watsons.
remember those. That's
They
a-
were a big sponsor of his show.
Oh, were they really? Okay.
And the time Bill Cosby showed up
Showed up at the Red Dog Saloon?
No, at the Bob Shreve show.
Oh, okay.
Late at night, he was in a hotel in Cincinnati watching TV.
And he goes, "This guy's funny."
Yeah, and he's local. Asked where the studio was, and it was like a 9-iron from the hotel. So he
Yeah.
just went and banged on a window until they let him in. And Bob didn't know he was going to be there. There's a knock at the door, and Bob goes, "Oh, someone's at the door. Let's see who it is." And he opened the door, and Bill Cosby, hey, and blew him away.
Really?
How's
That's a
it
shame
direct-
about him too. I'd
I
love
know,
to
I
talk
know.
about him too,
I
but it's
know.
like you almost don't know if you can say his name.
Yeah, you don't want. Yeah,
It breaks my, because I think I loved like knowing the neighbors. It's like, what are you building? You know, you're like,
what's a cubic?
Yeah. I mean, he was a brilliant comic, and it's just such a shame.
That he was a.
Yeah. So then you
Here's
opened.
a story.
Okay,
At
yeah,
Red
Red-
Dog, and I'm going to
yeah.
get to the one you want me to.
Okay.
At the Red Dog Saloon,
Yeah.
I'm one night, Kevin's on vacation or sick, and I'm working the room. Nobody's there.
Uh-huh.
And I get a call from my friend, comic Steve Caminiti.
Yeah, Steve. That's how I think I got to you, actually, originally. But yeah, Steve's a good guy.
And Steve said, hey, I'm opening for Robin Williams at the Taft.
Really? Oh, wow.
He wants to do comedy somewhere afterwards.
Oh, no kidding.
We're going to come to the Red Dog.
Oh, that's
Stretch.
awesome.
And of
Stretch.
course, do more time. Stretch your show
stretch
out
okay.
until he gets there.
Okay.
Because he's got to do his show, I'm doing my show, so I got to go another half hour for them to get there.
Yeah.
And I, of course, said, BS. You're lying.
You think he's pulling your leg.
He goes,
Yeah.
Flannery, I'm with Robin Williams.
Uh-huh.
You got to do longer. And I went, oh, man. You're lying. I don't know. So I hang up the phone, and the bartender says, what's going on? I said, Caminiti says he's bringing Robin Williams here. I didn't give another thought, and I went up on stage and did my show.
Uh-huh.
Bartender's on the phone to all her friends, every bar on the Strip.
Uh-huh.
Place is suddenly packed.
Really?
And I'm going, oh, man, I hope he shows.
Yeah.
Robin Williams walks in.
You're kidding me.
No.
When is this, like mid-'80s?
Yeah.
So he's a super famous. At this point.
Huge.
This is
huge.
Mork and Mindy, post Mork and Mindy, or maybe
Mork and Mindy.
post Mork and
This
Mindy
is-
or during Mork?
This is comic relief,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Robin Williams.
Wow.
He does improv with us.
No kidding.
And I'm like doing improv with Robin Williams.
That's incredible.
It is. In this little
Yeah.
dive place. And he was great.
Yeah.
Great
Did you get
guy.
to hang out with him afterward?
No, he jumped back in the limo and left, and they left Steve there with his car downtown.
Oh, really?
Because the people
That's pre-Uber
who were
too,
handling,
folks. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
he had nowhere to go. The people who were handling Robin came up to Steve and said, listen, if he asks if there's any place to do comedy afterwards, tell him no. And then Robin walked right up and goes, is comedy to do any place afterwards? And Steve goes, yes, my friend is uptown.
That's cool. So, I worked at a summer camp in San Francisco, and one time I was with kids, and we were on a camping trip, and I brought a People magazine with me. I had something great. And a kid sits down next to me and goes, oh, Mr. Williams. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Mr. Williams?
Mr. Williams. And it's, I don't want to say this kid's name because it turns out he's from a very wealthy family that owns a hotel chain, we'll just say. Super great kid. He was one of
The Super 8 family.
Super 8 family. There wasn't Super 8. Let me tell you, it wasn't
Wasn't Super 8?
And I had no. And I said, "You know it?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I'm friends with his son, and he we go over to his house and play." And I said, "What's he like?" Great guy. He's such a nice guy. And this kid was 10, 11 years old at the time. He's now like 30. But what? Yeah,
And he was.
I
He
loved
was
that
so
guy.
nice.
Yeah.
And that's a big shame.
Yeah, that's such a big. Is that the only time you met him then, or is that?
It was.
Yeah.
I worked with Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
Once.
So what was that like?
That was incredible.
You worked with her one time?
One time, twice.
Okay.
I worked with her.
Lima, Ohio? Is that where I read?
That was one of them. An agent called me and said, okay, I got a week of one-nighters for you. And then you'll work a week here, and then you'll be back for 3 more nights, one-nighters. I said, all right, fine. You got to pick up the headliner at the Lexington airport, and you have to be in Paducah, Kentucky on, that night.
Yeah.
I said, okay, who am I picking up? Ellen DeGeneres. Okay, oh, yeah, she was Showtime's funniest person that year.
Oh, okay.
Okay, what does she look like? He goes, you'll know her because she has incredible blue eyes.
Okay.
I said, all right, I'll do that. So I go to the airport, and I'm waiting, and this very cute woman comes out. And I said, hey, I'm the comic. And she goes, oh, I'm Ellen. I said, I'm Michael. Come on. We go down to my 84 Mazda pickup truck.
Uh-huh.
And we spent the next week going from different towns, 5 days, different hotels, different clubs.
You and her?
Me and her. And I was smitten at the airport.
Really?
And I thought, okay, she's beautiful, she's smart, she's intelligent. And I went, okay, I'm just going to play it cool.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be nice. I'm going to be me.
Right.
I got 5 days.
Yeah.
She's not going to see anybody else.
Right.
It's just me. I got this. I got it made.
Yep.
I got it made. So it's nice to her the whole time. And second day, she goes, are you seeing anybody? And I'm thinking, that's a good question.
That's a great question.
And I said, nope. And she said, why not?
Aw.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I said, have you seen anybody? And she said, I was seeing the drummer in my brother's band, but not anymore.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Her brother managed the Bangles.
Oh, okay.
I had no idea.
Manic Monday, right?
Yeah,
You know,
I'm
walk
clueless.
Okay.
And I'm just going, what is going on? I'm striking out
Yeah.
as the nice guy.
Yeah. Right.
Everybody thinks it's very funny that I was thinking I'd have a shot at Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah, right. But people knew her, I guess, knew at the time that she was gay.
I don't know. This was before her show. Before, you know.
But she was a nice person. She seemed like she would be a nice person.
She is just like she is on the show. She is just, you know, this is me.
Very smart.
Very smart.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, and
Very
funny.
great.
Can like think of funny stuff like seems like on the fly.
Mm-hmm. And there are different people like you go, oh, you're going to be working with this guy, and he might be hilarious but a jerk. Yeah. And you don't want to work with him. Right. And it's like, you know, I don't care what their show is like. Mm-hmm. I got to spend a week with them. Right.
You never saw her again?
I did those 5 days. I did a week, and the next 3 days were with her. And as soon as she goes, Michael, how are you? You know. Oh yeah. It was great. She does all that good stuff for people. She's not, you know, hoarding money. Right. She gives so much of it away. Yep. She's great.
Yeah. And you don't see her anymore? Or no?
Nope. Haven't seen her again.
Yeah. No kidding. It's funny that you get these intimate sort of. Like you have like a fairly intimate experience, not in the sexual way, but you know you have like an intimate experience, like where you're riding with her and getting to know her, and you know, and then
every morning, what time you want to leave? Okay, good.
You hang out with Jerry Seinfeld, and then that's it. You're on to the next thing. It's like this sort of transient lifestyle, huh?
Yep, that's it a lot.
Are you friends with her on Facebook or anything?
I'm friends on Facebook with Bill Engvall, who was in Blue Collar Comedy Tour.
Oh, right, okay.
Bill Foxworthy and. Ron White. Oh yeah, so I was friends with all them.
Okay, wow. So that's your time. That's your kind of your
right. That's when they were coming up.
That was your time.
That's when I was with them.
Yeah.
If you go see Toys 4, Slinky, the dog, is Blake Clark. Used to be Ernest, and Ernest passed away. Blake Clark is the guy. I worked with him for the first time in Tennessee. In Knoxville, and it's like the first day we're going to lunch, and I said, hey, have you seen that show, that movie, St. Elmo's Fire? And he goes, seen it? I'm in it. I'm the bartender.
Yeah, right.
And he was. So I got to see St. Elmo's Fire with the bartender from St. Elmo's Fire. Oh, that's cool.
So then what you did that for a while? You moved out to L.A., I guess, for a while?
I lived in L.A. twice.
Okay. What was that
trying
like?
to be a sitcom? It was hard. It was hard, and it was hard because I'm from Cincinnati. It's nothing like Cincinnati.
No, it's not.
Here they ask you what school you went to.
Yeah, and you say high school.
And you say your high school. Out there, I swear to gosh, the second or third question when you meet somebody at a party or something, you're just, oh, hi, how are you? They ask you what car you drive.
You know, that's funny. I was going to say the exact same thing. I lived out in California. They'd ask me what kind of car I drove. And I said, I have a 1994 Honda Civic.
Oh, thank you.
And they were like, ooh, like I just admitted I was like a child molester. It was like, I was like, what did I do? Right. It was like I showed up at a pool party with my bathing suit and a towel. And I'm like, aren't we going swimming? I got there and they're like, dude, go put that back in your car.
Go shopping.
Home, put on some loafers and some nice pants and like not flip-flops in your bathing suit and a beach towel.
At a pool party.
I'm like, what? Oh, and I look over. I'm like, oh, the pool party. They're all standing around. They look like they're at a club.
Yeah, they're standing around the pool.
They're standing around the pool party. It's not a get in the. There's nobody. And I'm like, when do they get in? They don't get in the pool.
You don't get in the pool. But you pay somebody to keep the water clean.
Yeah, they don't. And they asked me. I got asked what kind of car I drove, and I had a purple 1994 Honda Civic, and it was like, oh gosh, it was like I just tried to kill the Pope or something. Like I was the looks I got. I'm like, oh, that's right. And here it's like high school. You're like, oh, you went to Coleraine. Oh, you must be good at football. I mean, which is like a weird sort of thing too. But
that's what it was like.
Yeah.
And I lived with friends from Ohio, from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Lived at the beach once with 3 women. I was on the couch. I thought I'd work my way up to the second floor, but that didn't happen. There were no positions available. I also
it's like a
Drew
Jack
Carey.
Tripper kind of thing.
Yeah, Drew Carey got me an apartment.
Oh, really?
He's
an Ohio boy.
Yeah. He opened for me in Cleveland.
Oh, yeah. He opened for you.
For you. That's when we met.
Oh, no kidding.
And he was out there trying to get a show and had an apartment at La Brea and Sunset. And he goes,
He's another one I think I would like him.
Yeah.
Seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, he's just who you see.
Yeah, and he loves Ohio. He's from here, and he
plays the accordion.
Yeah,
he's really Ohio. Plays the trumpet.
Was in the Marine Corps. He's kind of
a Marine.
Yeah.
Interesting
guy.
Interesting guy. But he lived down the hall from me.
Huh. So then, what happens out there? Do you get?
I was out there, and I just got disappointed.
Okay.
Twice.
Okay.
The second time, though, I was asked to got a call from Channel 19 when I was out there, and they said, "Do you want to host a kid show?"
Okay.
And I said yes. I was trying to be on a sitcom, The Nutty Neighbor on Who's Got the Butter, something like that. And when they asked me,
is that a real thing?
No, I just made that up.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
If they asked me to be a kid show host in Cincinnati, and I was like, yeah,
sure,
because I grew up with Uncle Hal.
Yeah, right, absolutely.
With Skipper Ryle.
Yep.
With Paul Dixon.
Yep.
That's why I wanted to be in show business.
Sure. So
was all of those people. The cool ghoul.
Yeah, the cool ghoul, absolutely.
So when they said that, I went, heck yeah.
And so did you know what that was going to entail?
No.
Because that's like a lot of people know you that, I'm like, you missed me out a little. I graduated from high school in 92. You started doing that in 1990, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they asked you in 89. There's I made a note about this. I'm trying to think what did I put that note?
You were trolling me, man.
Yeah, there's a Patrice Moon.
Patrice Moon.
Moon. Okay, she calls you in 1989. And then she says, we want to do this. And you had an earring, right?
I did. I had two earrings, left is right. I had two earrings, two like diamond. The little one was diamond. The bigger one was plexiglass or something.
Okay. Right.
I had a curly mullet.
That was. I've seen these pictures.
Shaved on the side, kind of close, and it was, party in the back.
You look like Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah.
Can I say that? Is that
you can.
Okay, I just did, I guess. So
and before that,
I saw some pictures of you today, and I thought, he looks. Well, I just saw Weird Al Yankovic in concert like 2 weeks ago up in Dayton. It was wonderful. Love Weird Al. He's hilarious. But I thought, you look like Weird Al.
Before the kid show, I had shoulder
in the
length
hair, for
curly
sure.
hair.
Yeah.
And it was like, down to my eyebrows and then down to my shoulders, and it was real curly. And I was in an audience watching another comic who had hair just like mine. And I'm thinking, doesn't he know how terrible that looks? And he goes, hey, don't you think me and Michael look like twins because of our hair? The next day I got a haircut. But I did the kid show, and it was the best thing there are so many jobs I've had.
So Patrice Moon, Moon, is that the right name? Moon. She was the general manager at Channel 19.
Yes.
This is pre-news operation.
Yes.
See, now what I remember from when I was a kid, Channel 19 was the place you watch like Brady Bunch reruns,
exactly,
Andy Griffith reruns, Tom and Jerry reruns, Popeye.
When I was growing
Flintstones,
up,
maybe.
When I was growing up, it was the Flintstones.
Yeah.
It was Larry Smith Puppets.
Didn't know them. Okay.
Yeah, he was another kid show.
Okay.
Now,
that was the channel that had all those on. You got home from school and you watched Channel 19, and so your parents came home and said, "Do your homework."
Right.
And
they wanted me there.
Tom and Jerry the whole time.
But if you look at Fox Network, when they started,
they
did all those tween shows.
Yeah.
Like Jump Street 21
Jump Street, right.
And all those shows that were aimed at 12-year-olds.
Okay, and then that's where they wanted you.
Right. But the 12-year-olds grew up. That's how TV stations who start out with kids, and the kids grew up with them. So I was there for 4 years doing Club 19, and the whole country had Fox Kids clubs. And we called ours Club 19.
Everybody else called them Fox Kid Clubs?
Fox Kids clubs. A couple of them had different names that included the station.
Did you guys have conventions and stuff?
Had to what?
Do you go to conventions and stuff like that?
They never did that. It was too bad.
It would have been interesting to get all the other Michael Flannerys that in the country together.
I knew the guy who was a comic who did it in Memphis.
I shouldn't say the Michael Flannerys. The people that hosted the kid show.
That wanted to be Michael Flannery. Michael Flannery wannabes.
Yes.
But that would be sad.
Sad too, yes. Some people doing the same job you had.
Right.
But they never did that. So you come in, she says, we're going to do this. They bring you in. How does she know about you? She sees you somewhere?
She saw me in town, knew I was a clean comic.
Oh, okay.
And they said, okay, now how do you want to do this? Do you want to be a pirate?
Why were you clean, by the way? Did you?
My dad.
Okay.
And
you couldn't do blue stuff because your dad would be
No, he just said, that you can do you'd be different.
Yeah.
And
okay.
also,
it wasn't a moral thing. It was like,
no, it wasn't. It was business.
It's business.
It was business.
Right, yeah.
Nobody on the Tonight Show was dirty. This wasn't cable.
Yeah, right.
I wanted to be on Johnny Carson.
You had to be a clean comic.
had to be clean.
Right.
And, it was like called Carson Clean.
Okay.
So that's when I had to make the change.
Yeah, okay.
And so I did the kids show, and I had to, at that point, it was a responsibility to behave myself.
I see. All right.
I mean, I'm a single guy who was in his 30s, working nightclubs at night, and during the day, I'm at an ice cream social going, "Hi, kids, how are you?"
And they were kind of like, was it they were like, "Oh my God,
Oh yes,
it's him." Easy.
I'm driving my convertible.
Okay.
I had a Toyota Celica convertible.
And the red glasses. Why
And
were
the
they
red glasses.
Did you do the red glasses? Was that a business decision too?
It was.
Okay, interesting.
Because
That's what I remember, the red glasses.
There were a couple of times when I was on the road and sleeping in a hotel that I'd wake up and you feel around when you have glasses for your glasses, where you put them. And I couldn't find them.
Okay.
I had to call the front desk and ask for room service to come up and find my glasses.
Okay.
And I thought if I had red frames like Sally Jesse, I'd be able to see
Sally
them.
Jesse Raphael kids, right?
Right.
I know that one. Yeah, she was a talk show host.
And I thought I'd be able to see them.
Okay.
But when you don't have your glasses with vision like mine, you couldn't see the frames. You'd have to look for the two clear spots. See, the rest of the room would be blurry, except for where the glasses were laying. That
okay.
part would be clear. So that it never worked before. I don't know why I thought the joke would work now.
Sorry, no,
But I had noticed that when I saw somebody with red glasses, I was always looking at their eyes.
Okay.
And I needed people to look at me.
Okay.
So that's why I had got the red glasses.
I see. Interesting. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm fine. Okay.
Yeah. You just got the last one.
The joke. Okay. I'm sorry. I did.
I know. That's how it was with me.
Okay.
It's kind of like a Montessori joke.
Yeah,
go ahead and laugh at your own rate.
Yeah,
and I'll come by and check your work a little later on.
That's right.
So the kids show, we shot a bunch of them, and then I had to wait for them to air. And I'm driving. I'm in my car.
So you wouldn't be sitting there on a Monday afternoon at the studio?
No, we shoot a month of them.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
And I'd go back out on the road.
Oh,
or not.
Okay.
Come back, and for 2 days, we'd shoot the next month.
Oh, okay. That's not a bad deal.
No, it was great. And I'm driving down 71, and school bus pulls up next to me, and I don't know if anybody's
in your
watching
convertible.
In my convertible.
Yeah.
And there's like the one lone kid in the back who's sitting there, and everybody else is roughhousing in the front.
Yeah.
And he looks out his window.
And is like, oh,
looks at me and goes,
my.
His eyes got real big, and I can see him mouth, "It's Michael, Club 19." The bus almost leaned on top of my car with all these kids looking out from both sides of the bus, looking out the window.
And you're like, oh, they are watching.
My car. And I go, I guess they are watching.
That's amazing.
I got to back up and get away from this bus.
Yeah, because it became kind of like a good-bad situation, right, with the kids. Because kids, they don't have the same, like, if there's an adult who comes up and goes, oh, that's Michael Flannery, they don't immediately come up and start pawing at you.
I was their friend.
You were their friend, yeah.
And that's what I wanted. Because the people that I grew up with were my friend.
Yeah, right.
And I wanted to be their friend, and then I could tell them things that were good that they should know.
Yeah.
Because it was coming from a friend.
Like a Mr. Rogers almost,
right.
But not that clean, I guess. Or not that.
I wish now I would have been more Mr. Rogers. But it was to the point where I had to always be careful.
Yeah. You took it very seriously.
I did.
Yeah.
I was in a happy hour with some friends at, what's the place in Hyde Park next to Echo?
Oh.
Arthur's.
Arthur's Tavern. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Arthur's
so
Tavern.
I'm deep into Arthur's Tavern. It's a bar where the bar starts at the sidewalk and goes deep into the building. So
Right.
I'm at a table deep in. And I'm talking with some friends and having a drink, and we're laughing, and it's Friday. And suddenly the whole place gets quiet. And I'm wondering why. And I look over, and at my table, I'm at the edge, are 3 kids with their Little League uniforms on.
Oh.
Baseball gloves and bats. And he went, "Hi, Michael. We saw you from the window. We just wanted to come in and say hi. We're playing baseball today."
Yeah.
And it's like,
gosh.
why wouldn't they?
Yeah, right.
I'm their friend.
Yeah.
And so I said, hi. I put my drink behind my back. Hi.
Uh-huh.
Let's go outside and talk. And we got him out of the bar real quick.
Right.
And talked.
Gosh, that's amazing.
And then one day in my apartment in Norwood, I knew all the kids in the neighborhood. I lived in Norwood in the top of a 2-family.
Uh-huh.
And I'm taking a nap on a couch because I got to do that. That was so cool.
Yeah.
Naps. Oh, man. Remember naps?
I do.
With kids now? No.
That doesn't really happen.
No.
Occasionally,
But
maybe.
I was taking a nap. I used to have to set an alarm so I wouldn't oversleep and not have time for a nap.
Yeah.
So that's, that's
those were the
important.
days.
Yeah. But I'm sleeping on my couch and somebody wakes me up and it's 3 kids from the neighborhood who go, hey, we were going to go play ball. You want to come? Like, tell you what, you go ahead. I'll meet you there. And I did.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But, I had to put some pants on.
Yeah, right.
But I left the apartment door open.
I didn't know he had legs, or whatever,
Tidy whities. That's interesting. I'll put that away for the therapist later.
Yeah, exactly. So were there any other kind of interesting things that came out of that? Because it must have been kind of transformative in a way, in a sense where you became very popular with people that were kind of my generation, a little younger.
It was interesting because I did have to behave myself.
Uh-huh.
I'd go to Cyclones games all the time because it was the first year
Oh, yeah, I
they
remember
came.
that. Yeah,
But I would never drink a beer
yeah.
because I'm sitting there and there's 2,000 kids who are watching me.
Yeah.
And
They would see you
took
and they
it
go,
serious.
hey, Dad, look.
He's drinking a beer.
Yeah, and that's Michael from Channel 19. Yeah.
Right.
From Club 19.
And I remember I would be someplace, I was an adult, and I'd be at an adult establishment with an adult beverage, and this woman comes up to me and goes, when I get home, I'm going to tell my kid I saw you drinking a beer.
That happened to you?
Yeah.
Really?
Okay. What do you say to that?
Yeah, right.
Suddenly I'm the bad guy.
Wow.
But it was, I took it seriously, and Club 19 members still come up to me today, and we talk for as long as they want to talk.
Really?
My proctologist is a Club 19 member.
Oh, really?
So just to tell you how weird it gets.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And it's a lifetime membership. If you watch Club 19, you're still in Club 19.
Does Channel 19 have anything to do with it?
No.
So then then you leave Channel 19, sort of decide you want to try something new. Channel 9 recruits you over?
Yep. I hadn't decided to do anything.
Uh-huh.
They were doing the news, and they moved my set into the cafeteria. So I knew it was limited,
Uh-huh.
my
Okay.
time at Channel 19.
Right.
And Channel
They
9
moved your whole set
into the cafeteria.
Okay.
We had to move the tables away to put the set in there to shoot
Okay.
that day.
Okay.
And Channel 9 called me up after I hosted the Emmys,
Local Emmys, right?
local Emmys at Union Terminal, and asked me if I wanted to be the morning, news guy, morning anchor, co-anchor.
Uh-huh.
And I said, yeah, because I had just
Oh, you
met
started
the love
doing
of my
the morning
life.
news. Okay.
Right. I just met the love of my life, the beautiful Stacy. And Channel 9 asked me to do this, but this would mean I'd have to stop being on the road. I'd have to stop being a comic, and I'd have to be at the studio at 3 o'clock every morning.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm used to my day used to be over at 3 o'clock.
Now it's going to start. Wow.
And I jumped at it because, I want to stay married.
So you were married at that point? You got married kind of quickly. You met her, and you were
It
kind
was
of
like, boom, I got to
Wow.
marry her before she gets away.
Yeah.
Because she's going to wise up,
uh-huh.
and I'm out of there.
And you want to have her sign the contract first.
Right. Yeah. And she was 13 years younger than me.
Oh, wow. Still is?
Yep,
Yeah,
still is.
still is.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Isn't
how
that weird?
works. Yeah.
And she was a Club 19 member. No,
Yeah.
she was not. She was not a Club 19. That's a joke. That's
Wow.
a joke.
Okay, well, wow. Okay.
Yeah. 13 years younger than me. We have 3 kids,
Yeah.
Noah, Bridget, and Grace.
Uh-huh.
My oldest, Grace, was born with Down syndrome. Noah is gifted, and so is Bridget. Now, I'll tell you something about gifted kids and kids with developmental disabilities. Here are 2 stories, one about Noah, one about Grace. Grace was born with Down syndrome. Noah is brilliant. He knew it when he was like 5 and told me, I'm smarter than you.
Oh, wow.
And I said, yeah, but I know more. for another year or two. He's going into engineering at UC next year.
That's great. Yeah.
So
and he's 17?
He's 18.
18, I'm sorry. Okay,
Bridget's
18.
17. Grace is 21. And so, Grace gets in trouble at school. A lot of trouble all day long. So we get a call that says, you're going to have to come pick up Grace. And she's going to have a letter with her that you're going to have to sign. We're going to make her write a letter of everything she did wrong. I said, okay. And about an hour later, we get a call that says, you have to come now. So you're a parent. You know what these are like.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So
that's
we
probably
show
not
up.
a good thing.
No, we show up at the school, and they said, look at this letter. It's in Grace's handwriting, and it lists, Dear Mom and Dad, I did this, and it was all stuff that she was calling the teacher a loser.
Oh.
With an L on her forehead, with her fingers. And she didn't get in trouble because she called the teacher a loser. She got in trouble because she would not stop calling it because the kids were laughing. She was killing.
Yeah, she was
killing.
Yeah, she's just doing what Dad does, right?
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't blame her.
Yeah.
So she says all this stuff in the letter, and the teacher goes, I turned my head for a second. Look at the bottom of that letter. The bottom of the letter, it says, love, Noah. She dropped dime on her brother.
Oh, really? That's pretty funny.
And Stacy and I are high-fiving. The teacher's now livid. And we're laughing. It's like, that's independent thought.
Yeah.
That means she took something she learned here, something she went, hey, if I write love Noah, I didn't do all this stuff. Noah did.
Right. Oh.
And so we're high-fiving, and we're going, and you can't teach her to read.
Yeah.
She's smart.
Right.
Now, at the same age, Noah's in his bathroom, in his bedroom one night, and he's got the waistband of his pajamas pulled out, and he's got his fingers doing the walking like in a file cabinet, and he's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Noah, what are you doing? I'm counting my underwear. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I go, how many did you got on? It's all of them. Like I'm the idiot.
Yeah.
And I said, why do you have on all your underwear? He goes, because that way, when one of them gets dirty, I can just take it off.
Right.
Gifted. Developmentally delayed. It's very similar.
Yeah. And so she's 21. Grace
She's 21.
And hopefully not offended by this question, but what would have been the situation 50 years ago if there was a child born with Down syndrome compared to now?
I know. I can empathize with that story. My oldest sister was born in 1950 with cerebral palsy, microcephaly, and severe cognitive, which they called mentally retarded.
Okay.
She spent most of her life in an institution. My parents were told to say she died and put her in an institution.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. So that was, remember, both of my parents' fathers were doctors.
Yeah.
Top doctors. That was the best medical advice.
It's gut-wrenching to hear. They said I mean, I guess maybe I've heard this somewhere in my life, but you think, so you had a sister who was in an institution who,
right?
You kind of pretended she was.
I didn't know about her till I was 13.
You're kidding me?
No.
Oh my gosh.
And shortly after that, she was moved into, because they closed the institutions because they found out what was really going on there.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And she ended up in a nursing home, very fine nursing home on Lakeshore Drive.
Okay.
She had the best address of any of her siblings.
Oh wow, yeah, right.
And I would show up when I was on the road anytime I could drive through Chicago. And they thought I was a doctor because I wore a top coat.
Okay, right. On purpose, you did
yes,
that? Yeah.
I did that on purpose. I went, what's this? What's this? What's this? And they jumped around like crazy. But, she married Virginia, loved to laugh, loved music.
Is she still with us? Or?
She is not. She passed away.
I'm sorry to hear
But somebody with Down syndrome in the 1970s could have had the same future.
Yeah.
If it weren't for the parents of people who have adult children with Down syndrome today. Look, the people who started the Down Syndrome Association. If you see parents with an adult child with Down syndrome, they told doctors to go to hell. I'm taking my kid home.
So I think of like Chris Burke.
Yes.
You know who Chris Burke is?
Sure do.
I mean, that seemed to me, you've met him. So we're talking about the actor from Life Goes On, which was a very influential television show for me. that came on like when I was in high school. Kelly Martin and the whole AIDS and Chris Burke is an actor who is living with Down syndrome.
Right. So is the woman.
And he's still
from
alive,
Glee.
right? I think he's still alive.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't watch Glee, so I didn't know there was an actor on Glee that, and he's
his parents probably told the doctors to go down.
Yeah, and he had a successful career as an actor. Still, I guess, could be an actor. You know, it's the way the business goes. Sometimes you have ups and downs, and he probably
What's saying that?
well, come on.
No, I know you're right. He was a very good actor.
Yeah, he was very good. That show was amazing, and that was like, wow, people with Down syndrome
Can do stuff.
That might have been my 15-year-old self whenever that was on, going, oh, really? And there was a lot of news stories around that, kind of like, oh my gosh, look at this.
Yeah, the actress from Glee drives her car.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, Grace, for the internship at Children's, would catch a bus at 6 a.m. At Harrison Avenue, take it downtown, transfer, walk 3 blocks, get another bus, go to Children's, and do the same thing on the way home.
You worry about her?
Yeah, I followed the damn bus.
Oh, did you really?
For about a week.
Oh.
And I know, and I'd park in the shadow downtown.
Would she be mad if she knew you were doing that?
I don't know if she probably would.
Yeah, well,
But
hopefully she won't listen to this.
I saw her looking over at my car. She's at the bus stop for the transfer, and I see her like lean over while she's sitting down. And I know she was thinking, what's Daddy's car doing downtown?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm slumped in the seat looking through the rear view mirror.
Trying to,
following my daughter.
Oh, that's a much more fulfilling, obviously. I mean, that goes without saying, life than being like what happened to your sister.
Right. Exactly.
So then you get hired to do the morning show and what are you doing on the morning show? Are you a reporter?
I was a co-anchor.
Oh, you were a co-anchor with who?
And Nero took my place.
Oh, really? So you hate her?
Brian Smith. Not at all.
Oh, Brian Patrick.
I'm sorry. I was a co-host with Brian Patrick, and I was just put in there with him. He didn't know it, which was too
He's
bad.
another nice guy.
Oh, he's great.
Brian Smith is he still in town?
I've lost touch with him.
Yeah, me too.
He'll hate me for saying this, but while he was at Channel 9, without telling anybody, he would go around to retirement communities and play guitar and sing.
Oh.
Nobody knew.
I knew him from the business career. He did video work for us. And he was friends with Doug Bolton, who was the publisher back then. And that's how I got to know him. And then I had him do some video work for the SPJ when I was president of SPJ,
Gotcha.
Society of Professional Journalists. What a great guy.
Oh,
real name's Brian Smith. I think we can tell people that now. I think he goes by Brian Smith now.
Right.
But people know it's Brian Patrick from Channel 9. So you co-anchored two guys.
And then did the funny stories and funny little features on the show.
And he was like the straight newsman kind of guy? Okay.
Did that for a while, and it didn't work out for ratings. They weren't real, great.
Ratings are
which
good.
happens.
That's the law of the land, right?
So I was made a feature reporter, and then the news director who hired me left.
Okay.
And a new news director was hired who was strictly news. Didn't like feature stuff, didn't like fluff. He was a hard news guy.
This Morford? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Great guy.
Yeah, I like Bob, too.
I like Bob.
Yeah.
But I knew
he was a straight news guy.
He was a straight news guy. I'm doing stories at Christmas time about fruitcakes or about how to fold a map. It's not the kind of thing he wants on his newscast.
Yeah, okay.
But one thing that bothered me...
funny, though. I didn't know you did that.
Oh, yeah. One thing that bothered me about just news in general is that they do a story about a family of 6. There's a house fire. A family of 6 is left homeless. Now sports.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But that's news. It's just, here are the facts. Here's what happened.
Right. And people would ask me the question, why do you do stories about murder and people's houses burning down? People ask me, and there's no good answer other than...
There is, because people won't watch the other stuff.
Well, that's the answer that you don't want to admit to. It's because people want it. It's because of you, because you bastards watch it.
Yeah, that's all you'll want.
And you want, that's right. And if it isn't on there, if you say you want good news, but if you put the good news on there, ain't nobody watching. People have tried it.
Yeah.
They don't know. You can Google it, look on Wikipedia. There was the good news
channel.
Yeah, channel or network.
Yeah.
I think it was GNN, the play off of CNN.
That's right. You're right.
And it didn't work because people didn't care. They want to see the war. They want to see the fighting, the infighting, all that stuff. It's good.
They want to know what's going on, and that's what's going on.
Yeah, right.
But
They want to know why their neighbor's house burned down, or thank God my house didn't burn down. That house on the other side of town burned down.
They want to know that their fire department is doing a good job.
Yeah.
So that's what
yeah.
was going on, and that always kind of bothered me. And I knew Cincinnati was the kind of town, we talked about this, that if you knew somebody needed help, Cincinnati was going to help them.
Right.
So I did one story. I heard about this. I knew I was limited. I was out the door in weeks as soon as they got around to figuring out what was the plan.
Right.
And so I found out about this Norwood High School cheerleader who had a heart attack. Now, 16-year-old.
A high school cheerleader had a heart attack. Okay,
yes, that's just an errant message.
That's a news story right there, too.
Right,
I mean, because it's an odd thing. Okay.
It's just an errant message from her brain that shouldn't have been sent.
Right.
That gave her a heart attack, and she stopped breathing.
Oh, my Lord.
And had brain damage. Now, with brain damage, you have to go through therapy. You don't know how much you're going to recover, but you know you're not going to recover at all if you don't have therapy, physical therapy and everything else. Now, she lived in Norwood. You've been through Norwood. There's a lot of houses that don't have driveways or garages, and there'll be the sidewalk and 3 steps up, and then a flat sidewalk and 3 more steps up to the door. Her mother couldn't carry her. She's 16 years old. And
so
her mother had
stuck in her house.
She's stuck in her house. Her house that isn't
16.
accessible. And
is she verbal at this point, or is she
barely?
Okay. So she goes from cheerleader to basically almost nonverbal, stuck in her house. Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So I did the story, and at the end of it, I pointed out she needs a driveway so that her mom can park the car close to the house. She needs a ramp. She needs her bathroom and the doors accessible. You know, mom doesn't have this money.
Yeah.
And I said, if anybody can help, give me a call. 200 phone calls on my phone the next morning.
Wow.
Prue's Construction, who does all the street work in town, called and said, we'll put in a driveway.
Those are they're Norwood folks, I think, too. They're my partner's family is very close to the Prues.
Okay.
Yeah. So good to hear that they did that.
And they called. It was a Mr. Prues who called me.
No kidding.
And said, we'll put it in the driveway.
That's amazing.
Carpenters called and said, if you can get the lumber, I'll build the ramp. Lumberyard said, if you can get the carpenters, we'll give you the wood.
Oh, my gosh.
Home Depot and HQ, which was around then.
It's now Crossroads, right?
They worked together to make the house more accessible.
Oh, my gosh.
I have a picture that I lost.
That, folks, is the power of the media right there.
Right.
Yeah.
The yellow vest and the red vest shaking hands.
Yeah.
And it's like détente.
Right.
But it was everybody in Cincinnati went, oh, you need help? I can help.
Right.
And they did that. And it was the next morning after the story about all that, and she got a ramp, and you see her. It was like a barn raising.
Yeah.
She comes down the ramp. Everybody's clapping.
She's in a wheelchair or something? Yeah, okay.
And at that point, the general manager...
Are you there to cover it then, too? Yeah, that's great. So they get publicity, too, which is okay because that's...
It's the story.
It's the story. Yeah, but it's okay. They can do it for 2 reasons, maybe.
Right.
You know, it gives them good press, but
It's costing them money.
Yeah, but right. It's good. It's all right.
And and I covered the story about it afterwards, and the general manager came up to me and said, that's what you're doing from now on. You find kids who need help.
General manager of Channel 9.
Of Channel 9.
Not of Home
Bill
Depot.
Fee, not of Home Depot. Bill Fee, who's an incredible guy.
Yes, he is a good guy. Yes.
Who made decisions always based on what was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And
Which Scripps is good for that.
And he said, that's what you're doing. You find kids who need help and get them the help they need.
Yeah. Scripps is who owns Channel 9. We both worked for Scripps at one point. You twice, apparently, I guess.
And I was fired by both.
That's right. Well, they laid me off.
But we did 9 on Your Kid's Side, and I made a point not to donate
How many stories?
dime.
Well, so you did. Okay, go ahead. You didn't donate a dime.
I didn't donate a dime, so I couldn't take credit for any of it. So it was all the viewers of Cincinnati.
But you told the story.
I told the story. But I mean, now I want to tell you that we gave 16 wheelchair vans away.
Really?
And the people of Cincinnati saved at least 2 kids' lives that I know of. That because they got the experimental procedure that the insurance company wouldn't pay for, they got They're alive today, married and have kids.
Really? Do you still know any of these kids?
I've looked up a couple of them.
You know what happened to the cheerleader in Norwood?
I don't.
No.
I'm going to have to look her
Sorry,
up.
I should have asked that before we started recording, but yeah. Sorry, very insensitive of me. But it's amazing. How many stories do you know? Do you ever count how many stories?
I did about one a week for 2 years, 3 years.
Oh, was it only 2 or 3 years?
I think so. I'm old. I don't remember. Look it up. You know.
I think. Well, I don't know how the 9 on Your Kids. You were at 95 to 2007, but the whole time you weren't doing 9 on Your Kids side.
No, I started on Your Kids.
Last 5 years and ended in March 2002. I see. I did find that out. Last 5. So you did one a week for 5 years.
Right. So 50 for 5 years. 50 a year, 5 years.
250 some stories.
Each story averaged about $6,000.
Really? So and then so how much money did you raise then?
I found a spreadsheet that said close to $2 million, but I remember there was $3 million. We built a tree house. The tree house, it's one of the few very 100% accessible.
Oh, Mount Airy Forest. I remember that story. I do remember. I do remember that story.
I knew that.
We talked about that before.
I knew you had a memory.
I do have a memory, but I remember when you did that. I've been to that treehouse because I remember seeing it on the news before I knew you and went. And I'm like, this is pretty cool.
Everybody thought I was nuts. I wanted to, I said, have you ever seen
It's still there, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Ever seen a kid in a wheelchair on a tree?
Yeah.
No.
So let's make it happen.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's done some good stuff, Mr. Flannery.
But it's people are appreciative of that. But I have to point out, I got paid.
You got paid for it, but and I like
all the cool stuff I got to do was part of a job.
Yeah, well, that's
kid show and all that.
But you're not a multimillionaire now, right? Are you?
I live in Westwood.
Okay, you live in Westwood.
It's a gated community.
So you got paid, but you got paid to do it, and
it was part of my job. But it was part of me because I grew up in Cincinnati and College Hill. Because you help people. Now, my mom would say, you help people like you breathe.
So Scripps tried to do this in other markets as well, too. Didn't they try to take the 9 on the Kids side and do it other places?
They did.
And it didn't work. Why is that?
I think that's Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I think it's Cincinnati. Because I would get calls on every show. Everything I asked for the kids happened. There was one that I thought didn't happen. Mm-hmm. It bothered me for decades. It was a kid who needed a mentor. Mm-hmm. And I said, he needs a mentor. He needs a big brother. He needs something. Mm-hmm. Give us a call. No.
Nothing.
No calls. So I went on. I had to go on and do other stories.
Right.
About a year ago, I'm at my daughter's swim practice, and I sit down. African-American guy behind me. I don't remember his name. He goes, hey, you're Michael Flannery? Yeah. You still doing stuff with kids? And I said, well, whenever I can. I'm with Goodwill now. And he goes, yeah, I remember I watched your show about somebody who needed a mentor, and I got to be his mentor.
Oh, you're kidding me. That's incredible. So check.
Yeah.
You check every box now.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
One fun thing was there was a girl who family was trying to adopt a child from China and couldn't because of the SARS. Is that what it was called?
Oh, yeah, there's like that.
An epidemic.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
And so the adoption process stopped. And the woman said, all we need to do is talk to the embassy and talk to the consulate and let them know we want the child. And she's going blind and she needs to be here to have her eyes checked out or she's going to go completely blind.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I had a friend whose wife spoke Chinese. Mm-hmm. So at midnight in Channel 9's newsroom, I had a conference call from us to my friend in San Francisco's wife, to the embassy in China, to the Chinese consulate. And at one point my friend said, Michael, I think that, I don't know how this happened, but the consulate may think that we are the embassy, the U.S. embassy. And I said, well, that can't be your fault if they think that. And you don't know if they think that.
Right.
So tell them that I'm upset.
Yeah.
And the next week or so, this child came to Cincinnati.
Wow. Still here today, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to look that one up, too, now.
I'm giving you a lot of homework here.
Yeah,
We'll have to have a follow-up next week and see how
what's going.
So Scripps,
and it would go straight to the company, and they would get the van.
Right, and Scripps would pay the administrative costs for the foundation.
Yes.
So that
actually, the Cincinnati Foundation gifted us the administration costs for the fund.
Oh, really?
So it was just a place.
So
to keep the
so
money.
you gave $5 went to the wheelchair.
Exactly.
It wasn't $5 minus 20% or something.
No,
like that.
none
That's
of the money.
Wonderful.
Everything went to the kids.
And nobody is doing anything like that in Cincinnati now. No one's done anything like that since, have they?
No.
And it's so you just got to wonder. I mean, I have to wonder in the past 11 years how many people with wheelchairs didn't get them, or
A lot. A wheelchair.
do you
van,
still get people asking you for help?
I do.
Really?
And
What do you do now?
I tell them I no longer. It's like I don't have my power.
Yeah, you lost your
Anymore.
journalistic superpower, right?
Right. I'm not a superhero anymore. I used to be able to
Yeah.
call insurance companies and scare them.
Yeah, because they're like, Channel Who's calling?
Right.
Yeah,
I said,
I know
hey,
that
this
feeling.
family says that they're due an electric wheelchair, but they're not getting it, and that say that their insurance says they're supposed to get it. I get these calls all the time, and these parents are crazy. So I'm just calling to see if they're going to get their wheelchair, because if they are, I got other stuff to do.
Yeah.
If they're not, I'd like to set up a time
We
you
can
and I
talk.
can talk with a camera.
Yeah.
Let me get back to you.
Yeah.
And then I got a call from the parent who would say, they just called us. We get the wheelchair. Wait a minute, they're at the door.
They make it.
Right.
Maybe.
And if-
Maybe. No, that's not always true.
And today, how much does a movie cost? You know, I mean, if you want to make a movie, you get your camera out and you do it all yourself.
Uh-huh. Right. Yeah, exactly. Do it on your phone.
Yeah.
There's like, you
Yeah,
go to a website,
you
there's
gotta-
like shot with iPhone, right? Yeah. Do you think that the 9 on your kid's side, could it be an internet thing?
I don't know enough about the internet, if I could do it or not.
Really?
There were,
You're pretty active on social media, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, but occasionally I still call it the Facebook. So
Okay, that's all right.
there you know how involved
Okay.
I am.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm not strong with Twitter or with Instagram, but I know the possibility is there. I have to learn. I still have a lot to learn about it. But when you can reach thousands or millions of people, then you can do what we do in journalism and on television. It's frustrating to me that I can do all this stuff. I have the knowledge. I have the experience. I just don't know what to do.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You know, that's the only thing.
So you had some interesting, when we talked about this before we recorded, but the story of Grace, when Grace was born, you didn't know that she had Down syndrome.
No.
And you've been doing 9 on your kid's side.
I don't know. I don't know if we were doing it yet or not. I might have been doing. I did 9 on your kid's side. Started, I think,
What year was she born?
98.
Oh, so maybe it hadn't started yet. But the thing that's amazing, the story that it was in the Inquirer article I read about when she was born, you weren't really sure what to do.
I wasn't. I remember the doctor saying, "Do you have any questions? You know, your daughter has Down syndrome.
Yeah.
That means," she said, she won't be real tall. She'll be short.
Okay.
She'll have her head might be out of proportion.
This is the kind of stuff they say to you.
They tell you.
Are they sensitive about it, or is it?
No,
It's just kind of like they're like reading a chart or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was funny because they're not real tall. I'm 5'6".
Okay.
I knew that.
Okay.
Their head's going to be a little large. So is mine. Okay. Keep going, Doc.
Yeah.
You haven't really hit a nerve yet. But, and they said, "Do you have any questions?" And I said, "I really don't know enough to ask questions yet." And so then I heard about the Down Syndrome Association. So I've been working at Channel 9, and I called them, and I said, "Look, my daughter was born. She's got brown hair, blue eyes, Down syndrome, an incredible smile, and just a beautiful, everybody's well."
Yeah.
And they went, wait, what? I said, "Well, she was born with Down syndrome." But it's like, from my background, disabilities were not a big thing.
Yeah.
But I had to learn about this one. So I had heard about the Down Syndrome Association, And I gave him a call. And I said, hi, my name is Michael Flannery. My daughter was born with Down syndrome 2 days ago. And I was just wondering, and the woman on the other end of the line, I'll never forget this, said, I've been expecting your call.
It's amazing.
And I was like, how have you been expecting my call? I've been locked up in this hospital room. I just heard about you. She goes, I've been getting calls from Channel 9 the last 2 days of all of the people asking me, what can we do? What do we need to know about Down syndrome to help Michael?
Oh, my gosh. These are your coworkers.
These are my coworkers. These are the people you see on TV. This is Clyde. This is Carol. This is everybody else. And it's whenever people say, are they as nice as they seem? I always go, no, they're much nicer. And it was that, like right now I'm tearing up.
Yeah.
That was really
it's amazing.
Tons of support for me.
So you got off, you had the support of your coworkers, and it got you, and then you had the support of the Down Syndrome Association.
Yep.
And
learned a lot, and you have to start right away. If anybody listening has a baby with Down syndrome, or you know somebody who just did, have them call me.
Really?
My number is 207-0719, because I called so many other people, and so many other people helped me, and I'm not worried about it because you will help so many other people after you. And it's not the end of the world. Things get easier. My daughter is 21. She has 2 jobs. If I can get her a couple more, I can quit, which I think is good.
Take care of Daddy. Huh?
Yeah.
Is she Daddy's girl?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm very fortunate about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I look forward to that with I do get it with my daughter, but when she's 21, to be Daddy's girl, you're lucky.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. It's
tough
strange because I don't know what it's like to have a 21-year-old, a typical 21-year-old.
Yeah.
I have a 21-year-old who's Grace, and I have an 18-year-old who's Noah, and Bridget, who's 17. And it's...
and how are they with Grace? And Grace with them, how are they?
It's like any brother or sister.
Yeah.
It really is.
They love each other.
Yeah, they're not crazy about Grace most of the time. I bought Grace... I bought Grace a drum set yesterday. And
so I guess I should
a couple
what does
days
your wife
ago,
think of you?
She because Grace wanted a drum set and anything to keep her away from TV. We're fine
okay.
with.
Yeah, that's good.
And so I said, hey, I'm at Goodwill. There's a drum set, $40. The stool is worth $40. It's a kid's drum set.
Okay.
And so I bought it on one day, and I waited till she was abed, and I set it up in front of the TV with a note that said, hi, Grace, and went to work. And I called my son up the next day, or the day that I went to work, and he says, whose idea, and I bust up laughing, was it to give Grace a drum set? And I'm just on the floor at work, laughing hysterically. I said, well, it was to help with the television thing.
Yeah.
She will not stop.
That's great. She sounds like a neat person.
She is, and she's very smart.
Yeah.
When she wants to be, she'll pull the Down syndrome card.
Oh, really?
She's that smart.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes, you do. Shut up.
Yeah. Wow. That's neat. I'm very careful about making sure I donate to Goodwill.
Thank you.
And you taught me that. I think that's worth mentioning, too, that Goodwill does amazing things, and not every box is the same, right?
Oh, my gosh. Be careful with the boxes. If there's a name on it, the yellow boxes that say Planet Aid, that's a cult.
Oh.
That's
but like St.
cult.
Vincent de Paul, you don't begrudge them, I guess.
I love St. Vincent de Paul.
Yeah.
I'm not going to
disparage them.
Or anything else.
Yeah.
They do great work for a lot of people.
Yeah.
They happen to make their money the same way we do, and there's only so much of that, but who cares?
Yeah.
God will take care of everybody.
Sure.
So as a reporter, you go, okay, let's see if this is really what it is.
Right.
And Goodwill is legit.
Yeah.
They help people with
You've given me a tour.
disabilities.
I know a lot more because of that tour.
Right.
Yeah.
Most people don't know there's a 24-bed dorm for
veterans.
homeless veterans.
Yeah.
And those folks are like a SWAT team. When they find out from the VA or something that there's a homeless veteran. I heard a story. This woman ran out of gas at a gas station. She had no food. She's living in her car. Within 2 hours, she was in a hotel with a packed fridge.
Wow.
And gas in her car, and they got her an apartment near UC so she could walk to class to finish her nursing degree. That's the kind of stuff that buying an old shirt does.
Yeah.
You know, right now, if you shop or donate at Goodwill, you're helping my daughter Grace get a job. So I thank you for that.
And how old is the organization?
103 years old in Cincinnati.
In Cincinnati.
Where was it started?
8th
and Freeman.
The whole thing?
No, this is like the second or third.
Like, what do they call them, chapters, or what is it called?
I don't know what they call them.
But this is called Ohio Valley Goodwill, and that started at 8th and Freeman in Cincinnati in
1916.
Is that Price Hill there? Is that where you think?
It's West End.
West End, right, West End, okay. Well, Michael, thank you for your time.
Are you kidding me? This was a blast.
Oh, I'm glad to hear you say that. I really enjoyed it as well, too. It's really great to hear your story and learn a little bit more, and have people just kind of come up and talk to us tonight.
And anytime you can get two guys with ADD and microphones, it's going to be a car.
It's going to be a 3-hour podcast.
Exactly. I don't have to edit it.
And we have to thank Bacalls, too. They've been very nice. Let us take up a table here on a Friday night. So.
And this is a place of my childhood, in my hood.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love College
Even though I didn't
Hill.
grow up in College Hill, I definitely have memories of being here when I was a kid because my mom used to work down the street at Emerson North.
Right.
So definitely know this place. It's cool to be here with you. So thanks for your time, Michael. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Get out the way for old man Joe, he's rounding third and heading for home. Get out the way, old Joe's coming, when he hits home, he's gonna be running.
Well, that was a great talk with Mr. Flannery. Thanks for listening. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave us a rating so others can find about the show. It really does help tremendously. Thanks again to Jake Speed and the Freddies for letting us use some of the music in their show today. Be sure to check them out. From Cincinnati's back next week with another exciting conversation with someone interesting, because everybody has a story, but not everyone is from Cincinnati.
You've been listening to From Cincinnati. We're online at FromCincinnati.com or at From Cincinnati on Twitter. Search for our page on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and other social media. Send in your guest ideas. We'd love to hear who you want to hear on the show. You can also email us through our website or call 513-549-NEWS or send us a message on social media. Please rate and subscribe to our show in Apple Podcasts. Your ratings and reviews really do help others find the show. If Apple Podcasts isn't your thing, you can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, or we have been told if you hook up the internet to your old Crossley radio, you can find From Cincinnati there. You can even ask your smart speaker to play From Cincinnati. I'm Joanne Lichtenstein, not from Cincinnati, but my sister used to live there. I'm in beautiful Burbank, California, and the voice of From Cincinnati. You can find me and my voiceover services at jovoices.com. From Cincinnati is a production of High Priority Partners, LLC, and is distributed through Loveland Local News. Copyright 2020. All rights reserved. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next Monday and every Monday for a new chat with someone new, because everybody has a story, but not everyone is from Cincinnati.